Go. I think we're right. Okay. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to all the new subscribers to the channel. I am really excited today because I have a lovely woman who reached out to me and really wanted to share her story, her ex-vegan story. It's fairly new, but she has an illustrious background that goes back, 4 years being vegan and 10 years prior to that being plant-based. Now, Peace Ravenwood, thank you for joining me. Here is a gorgeous woman of, I would say, of nature. And hi, and she's basically been observing, and nature's been her school ground, and just immersing herself in the teachings that nature does give us and learning all about her ways and teaching others. So she has a wonderful story to share, and also a wonderful project that she has now had a passion for. So thank you. Welcome, Peace. And I'm so thrilled. So let's just ask, first of all, how did you get into veganism and a plant-based diet, and go from there, okay? And how long ago it was, because you also did a stint with raw vegan chefing, so I'd love to hear that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I'm going back, over a decade now, and prior to that I was morbid obese, so I was like, I think my heaviest weight was 20 stone. And I was a serious food addict. I've had myself as having a lifelong eating disorder, and now I'm really blessed to be able to help other women that have their own eating disorder as well, because I can see the flags that they can't see through my wealth of experience with my own eating disorder and that of friends and family. Also, really, ED is really, really quite a strong thing to break through. And when I started realizing some of the foods that I was eating weren't healthy for me, I tried to start cleaning up my act a bit, but it wasn't really until sort of 12 or so that I was introduced firstly to raw food. But even then I thought, oh my God, I can't just eat everything raw. It freaked me out a bit, but I loved the chocolate and I loved the desserts, and that was sort of like my introduction to a plant-based diet and more of a healthy way. So husband and I then started really becoming aware of animal agriculture and how traumatic it was for us in modern day farming, and factory farms and that kind of thing. And it really upset us. So that was our drive initially to become vegetarians. But unfortunately we were bad vegans and we got sucked into all the TVP and the soya product pro and meal replacements, corn, and oh my God. And what happened was, from that point of us transitioning away from our standard diet, I actually got sicker because I had an inflammatory response to soya. I didn't know it back then, but it hit my thyroid and it completely obliterated the function of my thyroid. But it was only through my own diligence and research that I found out that it was the soy and all the fake products that were doing this to my body. But it wasn't overnight. It took quite a long time, and I was put on medication and all that kind of thing. And my weight was just like, it was just there, and I couldn't function because my body was hurting. My hair was falling out. My brain was fogged. I had to sleep all the time. And I thought, oh my God, I'm dying. What the hell is going on with me? So that's like the kind of hardcore background to even not realizing back then that plants or their plant-like foods weren't doing me any good, but I wanted to do it for the animals. So, that was when my journey began, really, back then, when I was chronically sick and got sicker.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So you had a bit of there's an ethical aspect to you also wanting to go vegan. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I think because I couldn't sort of fix myself by just eating those foods that were easy, that you get in all the stores and what have you, we actually ended up running our own farm project back then. And we were given 5 acres of land to work permaculture, which is sustainable development. And so that really did help, actually, because we were put then in touch with really good farmers that were raising rare breed meat. And for a time, you know, I was eating their produce along with growing all our own vegetables, you know, some soft fruits, loads of herbal medicine, and, you know, herbs for medicines. And I was teaching. I'm a permaculture designer. That's part of one of my background is in permaculture.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I still, you know, the old patterns here didn't let me progress beyond what I needed to for my own health. And we got burnt out running the farm and getting all this land. It was all no dig as well. So we didn't have any machinery. It was all really, really hard work. Yeah. When you've not got good health, it's not easy. And so then we decided, right, we need to move. And we went to live in Glastonbury, which I don't know if everybody is kind of like aware of where Glastonbury is. It's the heart chakra of the UK, very spiritual, loads of crystal shops and loads of woo-woo. And it's great. We love it down there. And back then I was introduced, one of my work colleagues, I got 3 jobs in town, and one of them was in a whole food organic store. And I was introduced to raw food through a colleague. And she gave me the book by Victoria Butenko, The Raw Family. And I read it within a day. I'd read that book and devoured it. But then I just went, I can't do that. But it sparked something up here. And that's when my change became quite predominant. And we started transitioning then away from the odd bit of meat, cheese, etc., to becoming fully plant-based. And that was quite an explorational journey. And it was amazing initially. It really, really was. And the deeper I got into it, the more raw food I wanted. And I got into like making raw chocolate. And that is my main thing still now, is I'm well known for my raw chocolate drinking blends, because chocolate for me is medicine and it's very sacred. And I've always kept it that way. I never got into the shops because I wouldn't compromise with the sacredness of the cacao and the medicine and the message for humanity through these sacred plant spirit medicines. So for me, when I started making raw chocolate, I thought, oh my God, there's something in this. And then it kind of escalated from there, and I started eating more raw foods and doing more juices and more smoothies. And then it led me on to really want to immerse myself in a proper certified training in raw food to become a raw chef.
And this was when, around, I think you said about 2011, was it?
Yeah, I trained in 2011-12 with Elena Love at her Pure Joy Culinary Academy in Bali. And it was amazing because I've been studying Gabrielle Cousins' work quite intensively as well. And of course, Elena and Chris Whitco, her partner in crime, work really closely with Dr. Gabrielle Cousins' work.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we did the whole conscious eating thing, and really the lectures every day from Chris were 2 hours on conscious eating every day. Really, really amazing. Yeah, even then, you know, there were 21 of us on the training for 5 weeks. And even then, there was something in my brain that just would not, you know, you get barriers, don't you, where thou shalt not cross. You know, this isn't going in any further. And it was the whole sugar thing. Okay. So the whole of Elena's teaching is low glycemic, you know, incredibly. Now she's keto vegan, which is great. In fact, I think she might eat a little bit off plant-based now, but she's very, very much keto now. And back then they were saying, oh, you'll never, ever shift this healing until you drop all the sugar, you know. And but my little brain back then, it just wasn't going to hear that, because we are addicted to sugars, you know, and that's the what our brain and our body and the parasites crave is sugar, isn't it?
Well, that's right. And a lot of the raw desserts are so productive, aren't they? And they're the way that they get people into the raw food lifestyle. And
exactly.
Cousin's work, I know he was quite adamant about also keeping it low glycemic in some ways. Yep.
very much so. Yeah. Mm. So yeah, I mean, obviously desserts are the win for anybody that isn't plant-based, like you say. And yeah, as well as chocolate, I'm really renowned for my raw desserts as well, but I keep them super low. You know, I was never one that, you know, following a recipe, I'd take all the sugar out. I wouldn't put that honey in, I wouldn't put all that coconut sugar in, but I'd use the dried fruits instead and things like that, so that it would keep it a lot undersweet. Whereas like the American palate, I know is so sweet. It's like up there, isn't it, for the American palate?
Yes. Yes.
But over here in the UK, it's similar. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to just pander to your sugar addictions. This is coming a bit healthier kind of thing. And I've always tried to do that with my food. And what I noticed from a start was, prior to going to Elena's training, I did an extended juice fast. I think I did 54 days, pretty much only green juices and things. I was really quite hardcore with it. You know, only apples were the only thing that I put in my juices, and I lost a ton of weight. Yeah. Had all my mercury taken as well at the same time as I was juice fasting, which I swear to goodness it helped me heal, to be fair.
For sure.
And then I went over to Bali about 4 weeks after coming off my juice cleanse. You know, so, and even out there, I think I lost about 1.5 stone in 5 weeks out there, and came back feeling fabulous. But unfortunately, that was kind of short-lived, really. And it was after, when I got back to the UK, I thought, oh my God, my health is now starting to, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know it well. Yeah. Go on. So, and you kind of said that up to last month. So tell us some of the red flags and the things that were starting to happen that were really having you question this way of living as a long-term sustainable way. I know you start to get some serious health things, so yeah, we'd love to hear all that.
Really. Yeah. Well, I think for the last sort of say 4 or 5 years, I feel now that my blindfold's been lifted off, that I've been living in denial for like 5 years of how bad my health was going, and not only my health but my husband's health as well, because we were so devoted to staying plant-based, for the animals and for the planet, and you know, and yes, for our health as well. But all those flags that were coming up for the last 5 or so years, I was thinking, God, what am I not doing right? You know, I've tried, and believe me, and I'm sure you're in resonance with this, you tried everything, every way on the plant-based path to try and nail the healing journey.
The ideology, you know, the construct, the ideology is so strong, and of course you want to make it work. And this is why, you know, you go, oh gosh, you know, and you tweak and you try different things and you stay away from vegan junk. Or, you know, I did that, and I'm sure you pursued the path. And, you know, you had a slight improvement, but then of course these things that you had happening started to reappear, and
absolutely, because I went through like 4 years. I was hardcore raw vegan for nearly 3 years. Like I wouldn't want anything into the house unless it came onto the, you know, the raw vegan menu, and hundreds of pounds a month on superfoods like you did, and all this kind of thing going on. Boxes of coconuts imported from Indonesia, and you know, ridiculous. And then after that,
what about supplements? Taking a lot of supplements at the time as well?
God, yeah, loads of superfoods, loads of supplements, you know, everything you could think of to be raw vegan. And when my health started to deteriorate on the raw vegan diet when I came back from Bali, I thought, oh God, what can I do? So I started following freely and went raw till 4. We even did a few stints on Banana Island, and then couldn't sleep because we were so jacked on sugar.
Unbelievable.
So, and then from raw till 4, I didn't like the way that they were going, because they were adding in loads of processed foods and extra sugars, and I'm going, God, this isn't right, this isn't healthy. I went to Google, and I looked at Dr. McDougall's work. I did almost a year on Dr. McDougall's program.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, initially, yeah, I felt some like improvements, very short-lived though. And then my skin went awful. My hormones started going, what the hell are you doing to me? And I'm thinking, God, I feel like crap. I can't stop eating. All I want to do is eat because I'm not feeling satiated. And the weight was
sugar swings. I guess you started to, discover this is what's really going on. Yeah,
I was constantly like boiling potatoes every day, like a whole bag of potatoes I go through in a day and things like that. And I thought, God, this is insane. I'm not feeling happy in my body in any shape or form. But I stuck it out and I thought, God, maybe this is one of those healing crises, these detox things. I've got to get through this.
Did you have any
all that
problems at all happen? Did you have any teeth, or was that not an issue so much for you?
Not so much for me, because when I was raw vegan and juice fasting, I got all the mercury taken out and replaced with ceramics. Mm-hmm. My teeth are weak, but I think for me that's always been a trend because I had to have so many teeth out as a child because my jaw wasn't big enough to fit all my teeth in and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I've had various riding accidents where I've smashed my face up and things like that as well because I was a professional horsewoman for a decade. Which I account for some of my joint pains as well. And I was thinking all this time my joints were flaring up, particularly on low fat, high carb. My body was excruciatingly in pain, so much so that I couldn't use my hands at some point, and my knees, my elbows. I had to stop massaging because I'm a trained massage practitioner because I couldn't manipulate bodies anymore. And all the while I was going, my God, I'm eating this amazing food. Why do I feel so awful? You know? So I think when
so much inflammation.
Yeah. I know.
Well
you're told, aren't you? You're told, oh, eat this plant-based diet and all your inflammation will go away. No, mine just went up and up and up and up. And I couldn't lose any more weight. And I put some more weight back on that I lost when I was in Bali. And haven't been able to shift that since. It's just sat here on my hips and my stomach, no matter what I did. Whether I exercised, whether I gardened, whether I didn't exercise, no matter what I ate, what I didn't eat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I kind of came to the end of my tether. And I reckon I started perimenopause probably when I was in my mid-40s. And I was kind of using that as an excuse as to why I was feeling so awful, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, darling, I butted in there. I was just going to say, how was your digestion at the time? Was that also causing...
Oh, my God.
Gassy, bloating, so, mushy poos, going to the toilet several times? Was that starting to really...
Oh, God. Yeah, I have suffered so badly with my bowel movements and my digestion. Yeah, like you say, every night belching up when I was going to bed, so much so I had to sit up half the night just so that I could not just stop belching. I think my BMs ranged from about 6 to 14 a day, you know, and it was never good poops. They were always like just a torrential, you know, and it would wake me up in the morning to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, so it was horrendous. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't be absorbing anything because it's just coming all the way out again, you know, and realizing that bananas are a massive trigger for me. And I can have a banana and just go to the toilet straight away and I'm just peeing. And then if I have more than one banana, that's it. I'm just on the loo. I can't stop pooing. So,
well, this is one of the common things, isn't it? That, you know, the digestion, the toileting, the bloating. I think that gets so severe for people. They just had enough of that, and the perpetual hunger, like not feeling like you're saying. Yeah,
constant cravings, constant for sweet things. You know, all the carbs. Just give me all the carbs. That's all I wanted. You know. Fats didn't do anything for me at all, you know, no matter what coconut oil I put in things, olive oil over everything. No, And I found that tofu as well, any soy products whatsoever, I wanted to eat them for the protein, but I felt awful afterwards. Immediately finished a meal. And grains as well, you know, you're told that grains, whole grain, organic, is the way you're supposed to eat. So you try it and then you feel absolutely diabolically ill for the rest of the day and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
So what led you to freedom, darling?
Ah.
What was really the straw that broke the camel's back, you could say, and and the light that came on and said, follow this, have a look at this path.
I know. Well, I think I had a bit of devastating news, a couple of years ago when I went for some routine blood tests to see if they could pinpoint why, as a vegan, you know, mostly vegan, plant-based, very knowledgeable woman, was feeling so crap. And I'd previously reversed my thyroid issues when I was high raw. And I thought, oh, great, I don't need to take my meds anymore. So I came away from all my medications. I was off them for 6 years. But they did my thyroid test when I went for these bloods, and it was awful. And I actually broke down in the doctor's surgery. I was so devastated that my thyroid was now just completely, I haven't got a goiter or anything like that, but it's just not working correctly. And I was upset because they had to put me back on the synthetics, and I was adamant that I'm completely drug free, and I'm not on synthetic meds now either. I'm on bovine desiccated thyroid once a day. So after that, I started really questioning everything I was eating and doing. And when we moved back up, we were living in the south of England, and my mum, sadly, she passed away in November from breast cancer. I came up to look after my mum because she was going downhill and her cancer had spread. So when I was up here, my lifelong school friend, we've known each other since primary school, she introduced me to Phil Escott. Now, you'll know Phil. Yeah. You'll know Phil very well. And my God, he scared the life out of me with his diet. But at the same time, rather like the Botenko's book back then, sparked something in me. And I started experimenting, just eating a little bit of chicken and a little bit of fish. And this was over a year ago when I met Phil. Because he's local to me up here. He's not very far away from where we live now, which we're so grateful for. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I just wanted to stay with my plants. Yeah, he planted the seed with his graceful patience, you know. And
how did you feel, darling, when you had the first, you know, mouthfuls of fish and meat? Did you feel a really noticeable difference in your mental clarity? Did you something, you know, you didn't have
No, not an immediate back then, last year. No, I have to be honest about that. I think because I was guilty. I felt shame about eating animals again. And I think I wasn't ready then to face the fact that that is what I needed to do. So I think it was literally about December, January, when I thought, oh God, I think I need to really radically change what I'm doing, because I'm getting worse. I'm getting sicker and sicker. I've had a few women's things come up. My breast's one of them that I have a great friend who runs the thermal imaging clinic over here in Liverpool. Thank God I trained with her in Nutritional Healing College, and she is going to give me a scan, you know, really soon to check what's going on before I go to the GP. Because our GPs over here are awful. All they want to do is cut parts of you off, give you mammograms and biopsies and all that kind of thing. And I ain't going down that route.
For the Western medical system.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want my body parts cut off. Thank you very much. We were given them for a reason, you know. So I started looking tentatively at animals again, still feeling a little bit guilty and worried and concerned about, God, will this work? Will this help me? And I reached out to Phil, and he has been, I get quite emotional because it's a big thing, isn't it? When you've been plant-based for so long, it's huge to start eating the flesh of other beings again. But this time, the first time I ate some chicken, it was amazing. I just had chicken and some salad, I think, with it, some spinach and what have you, because I wasn't aware of the oxalates back then until I watched the Sally Kay Norton interview on YouTube.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, holy crap, this is like serious. And we've been feeding ourselves. I would literally eat a pound of broccoli to myself every single day, and all the rest of the greens as well. I was a big greens fan. Not so much the fruit, but the greens were my thing.
A lot of us were. I'm going to mention this in another video I'm planning to do shortly. Because
Okay.
I think, the green smoothie revolution has a lot to answer for, but that came into the mainstream. But, a lot of us were eating so much kale and spinach in their smoothies.
Yeah.
And that was never heard of. People just never did that kind of stuff, I think a lot of us have got quite a lot of oxalate loading that's occurred through the last few years. And
this is it. I mean, I think it was another friend of mine, Susan Lang. She is amazing iridologist, and when we went to Glastonbury we took my mum's ashes to Glastonbury because she wanted us to sprinkle them at the top of Glastonbury tour. And Susan lives in Glastonbury, and I've been dying to have a session with her for about 5 years. And it was just the divine timing that I managed to see Susan that afternoon on the day that before we came home. And she looked into my eyes and she looked at the shape of my hands and she went, right, she says, I'm really sorry about this, but you have a thyroid shaped hand, you have blue eyes, which is your lymphatic system. She said, this is what we have to do. And she gave me this massive long list of all the foods that I had to completely eliminate out of my body to heal and reverse what's going on here with my thyroid. Yes. And I was really shocked, really super shocked.
Yeah.
And I kind of broke down a little bit, thinking, oh my God, that's all my food groups.
Yeah.
Everything.
I was just going to mention this, thyroid problems, hypothyroidism. I'm a digestion, I guess, expert you could call myself, but I see a lot of ex-vegans who are transitioning over and help them through that phase and help heal their digestion. But so many now are being diagnosed with thyroid problems, and it is becoming so common. It's something that we haven't really had so prevalent. And so I can understand. It's just like another person, and
it's upsetting, isn't it? It's really shocking.
Well, it is, and there's. I have this multifaceted approach as well, and I know from my own direct experience that it's not just all about the food. And I had a cancerous breast lump too, and I made that disappear in 9 weeks. Through contacting the emotion behind it. And I was actually vegan at the time, and I really feel, and that may be applicable to you, the women find, I know I found I had more fibrousy kind of breasts. Problems have been linked to lack of animal foods, cholesterol, vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins. And I know that since I've been eating meat, that my breasts are a lot more softer and smoother. So that's another thing as well. But I'm just kind of bringing in that multifaceted thing. But it's
so layered, isn't it? There's so much to go into, and so much we're not even aware of, because I'm very sensitive to like EMFs as well, geopathic stress, all these that kind of things that are kind of put on top and compounding all the other things that we're trying to do for our health and what have you. A lot of cleaning up to do around the home as well, to make sure there's not too much radiation in the home. And then we've got
quite resilient when you think about it. But gee, we're taking a gathering, aren't we? At the moment, there's so many so many aspects, and it's great because once the penny drops, and I had with you with the vegan lifestyle, it was definitely, you know, contributing to the breaking down of your health. You start to see the veils lift on other aspects of your life, and you want to extend that out and clean up different things around yourself. And like I said, the mindset change as well, because as you were just saying, it's so hard to break that prison of that thinking about, you know, I can't have animal foods. This is, you know, it really is a big hurdle for so many people, you know, to first navigate, you know. Luckily, we get through it, and our bodies respond really rapidly, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm still in the transitional phase, if you will, you know, phase 3 of becoming carnivore, you know, so I know I've got a lot to look forward to with the health improvements, and if anything is to go by this first month, because I think I'm literally at the end of my first month now. The first couple of weeks I was kind of transitioning off all the vegetables, and I did go in quite hardcore, you know, potatoes were just dropped, any starches were just dropped, and then I was just adding like maybe a little bit of spinach to my chicken, or, you know, right at the last minute, and the green juices now have stopped as well. I kind of miss them a little bit because I miss that fresh, cold chlorophyll hit.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? Yeah, and I miss the fresh, crunchy, watery taste of vegetables, you know, like celery. I still have a little bit of celery, maybe a little bit of cucumber. If I feel that I just want to bite into something cold and water rich, but that's kind of got less over the last 2 weeks. I've not really had much. So I'm pretty much now, I'm day 2 of full carnivore. With nothing else.
It's interesting, you know, that so many vegans, and particularly those who've been raw vegan, go over to, and people will say it's extreme, but I think it's just a natural evolution of that in a way, because a lot of people have had damage or come out of veganism with some damage in autoimmune problems, thyroid problems, digestive problems. They really are looking for something, and by taking out all of these foods, and of course meat-based is a perfect elimination diet. It's a perfect way to discover what foods, once you reintroduce, are inflaming you and causing problems, you know. So it's brilliant for that. But of course, and people find that, and Phil, he would have been an inspiration in that area too. The rheumatoid, the arthritis, sore joints, all these things start to disappear. The digestion is not noticeable anymore. It just, everything's humming along. You sleep better, and you feel calmer and sharper brain. So these things you kind of think, well, hey, I don't want to really give that up. So I know people have commented on that and go, how come they've gone from one extreme? Is it because of this extreme mentality? But I feel, I mean, this doesn't apply to everybody. Not everybody comes out of veganism, you know, with the damage that's quite, you know, severe, you know, and especially for digestive. But at the same time, there's more people who are now. And I think, again, it's because of the amount of vegetables and that we've all been consuming, and if we've been doing the green smoothie thing and the plants and the, you know, 14 plants or whatever, and the way that the plants are, you know, are treated today, and just a whole lot of stuff. But of course, if we've already got gut damage and permeability, then those oxalates are going to really, and the goitrogens and all the other things, are really going to create havoc with us. So tell me, and tell all of us, what was the adjustment phase like for you? Did you have some really benefits happen, you know, fairly quickly that made you want to keep going? Now that we're talking about that, did that spur you on? Did you have relief for a lot of things?
It did. The first thing that I noticed was in the digestive system, I stopped pooping like 1,000,000 times a day. And I now have, I mean, I can say I've had a little bit of upset the last couple of days, but I put that down to some dairy, which I know that it's just been a comfort thing. So that's gone now. I'm day 2 free. So now it's settling down again. But the belching immediately went. I kid you not, on the first day of me dropping carbs and all that kind of thing, I went to bed and I'm like, I'm not belching. This is ace. I didn't have any bloating in my stomach whatsoever. None. And I woke up the next day going, my joints aren't hurting. And that's in the first 24 hours. So that was kind of huge, really.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I had to sneeze. We've got aircon blowing. Yeah, that would be huge. Actually, I heard Dr. Ken Berry say that he had heartburn, you know, and it really does cause a bit of cognitive dissonance because, you know, we're so used to hearing from the mainstream, you know, dietary authorities and doctors all saying that meat creates more acidity and you're more likely to get heartburn. And he found it completely disappeared on meat.
Yeah.
The belching.
Yeah, because that belching is really worrying, you know. I just sit there sometimes all night. I just would be belching, and obviously gas the other end as well was like endless. And to have that go, and I hardly ever have any gas coming out of my bottom anymore now. Hardly ever.
Isn't that great?
That is just like, what is that? What is that? This is just freaky. I'm not farting anymore. You know, maybe the odd one or two, and then that's it. It's just gone. There isn't anything else. And so I don't.
Adjustment phase with the with digesting the meat. Like, did you have any sort of cramping, or you're not having sufficient enzymes, of course, because if you've been plant-based all the time.
A little bit, yeah. Just small. I think that because the fat, you know, I was trying to eat more fat in the first couple of weeks, and that was a bit uncomfortable. I think I had one day where I just couldn't eat anything else because I had this small portion of fatty beef, which I didn't realize because I've got really good at making beef broth now, and I was eating the beef meat and fat off the bones once the broth had done its cycle. I do everything in the pressure cooker, and that knocked me sick for the entire day. I could not face food for the rest of that day, and so I don't now eat the remains after making my beef stock at all. I throw it away, or you know, one of the boys will clean it up because they've got cast iron stomachs for some reason. I don't know. But it was too much for me, so that kind of made me realize, there's some things that I can't afford to eat right now. And I get full really quickly. I have to say, I can't eat more than normally on an average day I'll probably eat about 600 grams of fatty meat, and that's it. No, not even that. No, it's not 600 grams. That's more than a pound, isn't it? Not even a pound of meat a day with good fat content and cooked in goose fat or something. I don't feel that I kind of want any more. And I want to try and increase my fats because I know I'm not eating enough fats at the minute. So it's still like, you know, finding out where my tolerances are. And so, but I am going to get some digestive enzymes to assist with the higher fats. Definitely. I'm ordering some.
Definitely. Yeah. And I found a little bit of fermented, you know, elixirs and things like that help at first, you know, particularly increase the microbiome, you know, and so that does make a difference. So you're sleeping better, and you're finding mentally
that's one of the things that I noticed more or less straight away, that my sleep pattern is so much better. I'm ready to fall asleep earlier in the evening, and I kind of want to stay asleep longer. And that was never me either. I was always insomniac, waking up all throughout the night, going to the toilet all throughout the night, you know, to pee or whatever, and then waking up like super early going, I feel absolutely knackered because I haven't slept.
That's a very
and now in just time.
It's a welcome relief for so many women, and I think and men too, but that the bladder seems to get stronger, and the kidneys obviously aren't so stressed, so you know, when you're not getting toilet trips, so good.
It is, it's a relief.
Yeah. And some weight. Have you lost a little bit of extra weight that you wanted to
I
move?
have no idea. I'm not a fan of the scale, I have to say.
Oh, well,
Normally it involves me crying and breaking down, and yeah, so I haven't gone off what my scale, but I've had to throw a few clothes away, because I just even just a month or so in to this way of life, that I'm noticing I look like a bag lady in some of my bigger clothes. So I definitely think my shape is changing. I've noticed my back fat is getting less.
Yeah.
So that's good. But I'm aware that it might take me 2 or 3 months before like the major changes are really, really evident. But my skin's a lot clearer. My mind is clear. I can use the iPad now first thing in the morning without having to put my glasses on. Now, my eyesight was one of the things that was really deteriorating over the last 3 or 4 years, really concerning me. I still wear my readers, but I don't have to. I can pick my screen up now and go, oh, I can actually read that. It just doesn't look as blurry. So little changes so early on is very encouraging for me.
Certainly is. And I think that's what keeps people going, because there's unexpected changes that happen, I think I shared too, hearing and little things that you wouldn't have associated from being vegan that were occurring. That's so
and my nails. Yeah. My nails, oh my God. They're so much stronger.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so thrilled for you, and I'm so thrilled that we've connected, and it's great that you can share these things. I think it's wonderful for older women to hear stories and like these, because a lot of things too that happen with women with the thyroid problems and the weight gain, the the mental changes, emotional change, put down to menopause or perimenopause or postmenopause, and it really is not that at all, So it's so good that you got your wake-up call, and they're certainly not going back again, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah.
No, I did think at one point, I thought, oh, well, maybe I just need to do this for like a year or something, and then I can go back to being vegan again. But I don't think that's ever going to happen now.
No, and the thing is, I know when we first connected, we both had that similar background with plants and using plants as medicine. I think that's also helped you to put that in that perspective that animal foods are building foods, and plants are there as medicines. And I certainly still like to have a small amount, for me. And so, it can be meat based, but still have those medicinal compounds. So I'd love to for you to share now. I know you've got so much passion now. There's another vista that's opening up for you, and it's interesting when you were speaking with me earlier, and you said you were about rewilding, and with that connection back to nature. But now it really feels synced in because you're back to your ancestral diet in a way, biologically. Way of eating. So maybe you can just share that with us, because I am really I get really it just uplifts me when I hear of ex-vegans who all of a sudden begin to get a passion to also start their own small farms and have sustainably grown animals and land, and tend for the land in a sustainable way, and learn regenerative farming as well. And that just is so exciting, because it's a real positive thing, and they really feel more connected to nature now that they're actually eating animals and animal foods again. So how do you feel about that? And please share what your passion is.
Yeah, well, I do come from, I've run my own holding before in northern France, in a previous life prior to, this one that I'm, in this body, of course, but it was, 15, 20 years ago. And I had a small holding in northern France in a very rural area. I was part of the whole community, you know, which was great to be like fully accepted into the farming community in a rural hamlet in the middle of nowhere, and raise my own animals, be really friends with the butcher. And, you know, he came and he took my animals, and then I helped butcher them when he'd hung them and all that kind of thing. And so, and I never ever thought that I'd go back to those roots again. You know, the vision that we have been holding for the last sort of decade was to create a vegan healing community of therapists and mostly plant-based members to work with the land permaculturally, and bees as the shamanic connection with between the worlds, because I work very shamanically with the land, very, very deep connection. And funnily enough, and the vision for this was really compounded working with the plants on my apprenticeship with Rachel Corby a couple of years ago. And they told me, you know, the time is of the essence to create this sacred place for people, as a sanctuary for those that are in dire need of help and rescue, whilst also providing a safe home for us as well and the members. So that's kind of like, that's always been there, you know, for over 20 years. This is what I've wanted to do, but never had the right things coming together. Do you know what I mean? There's always been parts missing or falling away, and life happenings and things. When I read about primal ancestral regenerative agriculture, if you will, or regenerative land use, something kind of went, oh my God, we can do this. Because we were already planning on moving to Scotland anyway, because the work that I do with other people is all about taking them out into the wild nature, where there is very little evidence of being messed with by humans, so that we are completely immersed. Our entire being is immersed in all that wild, beautiful, hardcore nature, you know, and staying out in the wilds all night and water fasting and all that kind of thing. Because that's when massive breakthroughs happen for us, and we have such an amazing shift, and we come back, we're not the same ever after we've done this. And it's been incredibly helpful for my own process, my own journey, and having a human experience. So it's kind of like blown this original vision up.
In a good way.
In a massively good way. And so we're reorganizing the whole way it's looking now. And I'm researching the native cattle, wild boar, native breeds of sheep, that kind of, you know, that relationship with the land, only small, not like massive amounts of animals or anything, because we want to be really hands-on with them. We want to get to know them in a real deeply spiritual way, and make sure that their needs are just intuited, even in my sleep, because that's how I do it. I connect in the dream world a lot of the time with nature and with the animal guides, and I want to be able to do that with our animals as well, so that I know when they need something or when they're not happy with something. And I'm not a stock person. I've never done cattle before, but I have had all the other animals as well. So we're looking for, like, you know, we need stock people, you know, people that are going to really gel with what we want to do. And so they can be the main caretakers, custodians of the bigger animals, and know everything about those, their needs and their requirements, when they need to move pasture, and, you know, what herbs we need to reintroduce. And yeah, so that the whole land will be for the animals, with all their medicines that they need to forage, but we will obviously be able to forage those medicines ourselves as well. So rather than now having like masses of polytunnels with loads of vegetables and fruits growing in them, our nature can become restored to its ancestral patterns, and we can live as we would have done hundreds of years ago, just having those foods as medicines, and existing 90% of our food will come from fatty meats, you know, and just foraging the rest of the time as we would have done many, many years ago, and provide that place, because it will always be a place of sanctuary for people and animals, where they can come and heal themselves, you know, because we don't heal people, we heal ourselves, don't we? We just sort of like hold the space while we find the doorways to walk through. And our whole thing is,
yeah,
sorry,
it's just an amazing vision, and just to listen
yeah.
to you, and I know you've spoken to me earlier about too how it's
Yeah.
flowering out, and I'm sure you're going to have people who love to get involved, and I can just
I hope
see that. Oh yeah, and
yeah,
younger people wanting to learn as well, because really
yeah,
it's where we have to go if we want to, you know, really make a change that's sustainable, and that's
yeah.
you know, based on how we've evolved and how farming has been for thousands of years, and we don't want to lose these practices, you know. And like I said, it's wonderful that more and more younger, particularly ex-vegans, are being drawn to this as well.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. Yeah. I'm so thrilled for you. I really am. I think it's wonderful, and it's great because you know, out of this is birthed the passion and purpose. It's just so wonderful, you know. And
yeah.
how's your husband, by the way? Has he come on board too with this way of eating a little bit? Is he kind of?
Yeah, he's getting there. He was really up, sort of like, God, how can I go back to eating meat again? Because even when we were eating meat when we first got together 15 years ago, he was like a junk food addict. He was drinking like 2 massive bottles of Coke a day, and I went, you can stop that. Straight away, the first week we met, you said you can cut that out. Because even back then I thought, no, these fizzy drinks, that is just total carnage for your body. You don't want to be putting that in there. So I've always been really on it with plants and herbs and what we really shouldn't eat, even though it's taken me like 15 years to come full circle to our ancestral way of eating. We get there in the end.
Yeah.
So, but he was really not sure whether he could do it, but he is. He's had lamb, he's had a bit of steak, he's eating chicken regularly, pork regularly, eggs now. He does eat dairy because he's not really noticing if that inflames him or not. It certainly doesn't do for me right now. But, you know, but I don't think he'll go full carny, no.
Well, he must be thrilled with the changes in you and what he's seeing. You know, that would just inspire him as well. But yeah, yes. I mean, not everyone goes that way, particularly if they don't have, like I said, the damage or some particular autoimmune or something that they feel they're seeking to get some relief from, you know, by eliminating a lot of the foods they were eating before. And just focus on meat for you know, to see what it does. But it's so wonderful to see and hear of so many people healing everything from depression to Lyme disease to so-called incurable diseases like Crohn's and you know, ulcerative colitis and these kind of things. Yeah, that just cause so much misery for people. And to see those, I've broken down a few times, I must admit, listening to podcasts where people have had incredible relief from even clinical depression they've had for, you know, for all their life. You know, from going carnivore, and these people crying too. So it's just such a godsend, isn't it, really? And so I don't know how things are going to go in the future. What's your kind of take? How do you think it's, you know, the vegan and the, you know, the meat-based and the carnivore people? How is that kind of going to go, do you think? Do you think there's going to be more people who are vegan have problems and then,
I think it is. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch what's happening. I mean, even my husband, his health has went down as well, and he notices now that his brain fog's lifting already when he's eating more animal fats and meats. And we cut out all the grains and stuff from the 1st of February. Actually, all the grains went, and all the non-food things went, like tofu and all that kind of thing. It went. So we did have like a detox, but we're still feeling crap. But since we started eating more animal fats, and I'm cooking everything in animal fats now, whether it's plants for them. I'll put meat juices on their vegetables, that kind of thing. But I think what's been big for me to see and witness, because I've been doing endless research. I've been watching your videos. I've been watching, loads of doctors' videos and Phil's video, and doing research in the carnivore groups. And it's been a real massive revelation about the vegan propaganda and the Agenda 21, which is all designed to, it was supposed to be good initially, sustainable development and all that kind of thing. But when you see behind the greenwashing and what have you, it's quite shocking, severely shocking, that the hidden agenda that's at play with the plant-based movement. And we've both researched into all these meat-like substances that they're calling vegan-friendly meats. My God, it's disgusting. Yeah. I am horrified at the poisons that people are eating in order to save the animals. I really am. And being part of that for so long as well has made me I got quite emotional about it, that I was proliferating my own disease by wanting to save the lives of the animals. And even the free range, I only buy organic, pasture raised, pasture finished meats. I don't really eat a lot of chicken anymore, because most of it, even organic, is corn fed, and I want to avoid all that, and so it's quite intense, this learning period. And some of my vegan friends now, I haven't had, thank goodness, thank you, I haven't had too much flack, from really hardcore vegan friends. And they are doing their own research now into the lies that they've been told, which is really, really insightful,
Well, I think there's a lot more now being exposed. I mean, particularly with the roots of this, the vegan movement, the Seventh-day Adventist connection, and also,
right.
The Eat Lancet and all this, and these studies, and people are starting to question more, and who's been funding these, and who's got the vested interest in it, and the pharmaceutical companies and the sugar industry and the wheat industries. And so we're all joining dots and seeing that there's something that's not quite right here. And particularly for those who are older, myself, who lived through that period of time where saturated fats were still advocated, and we saw the transition happen to demonize, meats, and particularly saturated fat, because, a lot of our parents they were all cooking in lard, or that's called then, and animal fats, and there wasn't the processed vegetables around. So I think a lot of us now are going back and doing this research and seeing that this has only been going on for a good 60, 70 years, and prior to that, people were a hell of a lot healthier, and we didn't have anything like the disease we've got going on now. So it's obviously not working, this low fat, high sugar, high carb, high starch approach, which is creating more and more disease and obesity, of course. So that's the wonderful thing, because I think once you open up your eyes to this, other veils are lifted, and you do go through that, how could I have been so duped kind of thing. But the great thing is you can share this now knowledge, and there's so many more doctors who are really debunking a lot of these epidemiology studies, but also that there wasn't science involved. A lot of it was just cultural bias at the time, the trend of, 70s. So forth. There wasn't a lot of stuff rooted in actual direct experiences and people who, it's all too vague, and all it's projected outcomes a lot of the times, and they title contradict the real experiences people are having. And it still goes on today. People go, well, what about the science? They say this, but your experience is telling you something totally different. So this is what people now, I also encourage them to go with their own experience, People weren't looking at science of micros and macros and things in cultures, and the world, we're just getting on, eating whatever. So that's just wonderful. Absolutely. It really is. It is. I think it's going to be interesting how it goes. But the main thing is that we've got people like yourself spreading the message of the importance of having our ancestral diet and preserving that, but also realizing that we are designed to eat meat. We've evolved on it. We've got the digestive enzymes. We've been made with those enzymes to break down meat. That's another argument with vegans. We're designed we're not meant to eat meat. Well, why have we got the enzymes to do it? Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't make sense, So anyway, this is all great sharing, great education that we can be helping, but particularly when you've got a purpose like you have now, and I think it's wonderful. So maybe once we've finished up, I can put a link down to you, and if anyone's interested in knowing more about what you're doing, they can contact you too. So that's so great. Yeah. So is there anything else you wanted to
Well, I think just listening to your words there, what is really coming home to me is this way of living requires far less imported goods as well. When you consider when you're on a plant-based diet that probably 90% of what we have to eat doesn't even come, because I'm in the UK, so we don't have a massive organic movement over here. We've got small farms that are very widely spread around. We've got veg box schemes, but a lot of is still imported. There's not a lot grown here because most of our agriculture in the UK is to feed animals, grains and rapeseed oil and all that, and soybeans. We've got soybeans GMO trialing over here.
Yeah.
And it all goes to the animals. The beef, the beans, the corn, you can't eat it. It's not for us, it's for the animals to fatten them up, for us to get fat by eating grain-raised animals, and get diseases from eating grain-raised animals. So that's really been a massive learning curve for me, because now I don't need to buy coconut oil to cook my food in. I don't have to buy any vegetable oils whatsoever. I go and I'm going to learn how to make my own lard and my own beef fats and bacon grease and things like that. So it becomes a much more close-knit, sustainable way of eating and living, where you come in contact with your food rather than having it shipped over from God knows where, at the detriment of those people's land and culture as well. And I saw that firsthand when I was in Bali, and I'm sure you see it over where you are in Thailand. The crops there are grown not for the people in the region predominantly. They're grown to be shipped into the West. And that really hurt my soul when I experienced that in Bali, the rice fields, and made me question. And I haven't eaten rice since then, really. Hardly ever have I eaten rice, because I didn't want to be part of that exploitative culture of eating other people's, productive land space. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, you start to realize how out of sync we've become, like you say, buying all these, and especially when we're eating vegan, our shelves were full of so many products that we needed, to make this gourmet thing and that gourmet. And like you said, now it's so simple. I mean, my fridge is hardly anything in it these days, but in as much as, all the condiments and this, that, and the other, so it really does. It addresses the minimalistic side as well, because
very much so.
It's simple. Where your food's coming from, and you need a lot less of it, and you're more. It's a satiating thing, and I think you've discovered that, and it's so freeing to be not chained to this cycle of just, once you're in it, you can't, all you're thinking about is food, and you're having these huge up and down cravings for carbs, and you want this, well, not, but the starches in the carb and the grains and everything else going on, and it doesn't end. It just ends up, in the toilet.
It does.
So it's such a huge turnaround.
It is. I have zero cravings now. Zero. Like, there is not. I might crave a nice glass of water. That's about it. When I need to hydrate, I know I need to hydrate. but that's it. And even that's, I don't cram myself full of like liters and liters of water anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still eating a good amount of water, but there is no cravings for carbs whatsoever, no cravings for fruit. You know, I might have the odd apple. I may have 2 or 3 apples a week, you know, instead of like 6 a day in a juice or something ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just really giving you a different perspective. And I know that's going to continue to unfold for you, and you're just going to have more and more benefits. And it's so great that you can, you know, feel and share some, you know, information, and he's willing to also, you know, give his input too.
Yeah.
So continue on.
And I'm so grateful. Yeah, I'm so grateful to you, because like you said earlier, that we met through the vegan raw food community. And I never really saw your posts, and then I was watching Tristan's interview with you, and I was like, I know you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the raw food lady.
I've had quite a few people just shocked, absolutely shocked. Yeah.
So I immediately got in contact with you, and I was like, oh my God, this is why we connected all those. I mean, we've been friends on social media for quite a long time, but just through those roots of the raw veganism. And it's like, what the hell?
Well, yes, we didn't actually connect personally as such, but
no.
But yeah,
that's
happened quite a lot. People have been watching my post, and all of a sudden I'll see some salmon and go, what? Because I just kept everything up. I didn't take it all down. Let people know about my journey. But
yeah, it's immense.
It's been very positive for me as well, obviously. So I'm so glad that we did connect, and I'm sure you're going to help so many people too, which is fabulous.
Oh,
so yeah,
it's our mission. It's just it's our dharma, isn't it? That we want to help people, and I really feel this is a coming home. It really is coming home.
It is
to the sole purpose of being here. So
yeah, it is. And, I mean, you know, it's a change. It's not just the physical diet. It's your friends and vegan friends and all the rest. I mean, I'm still dealing with that. I've got vegan friends everywhere, but I kind of keep to myself a bit more about it, because I'm also a lot more tolerant of what people are eating. I mean, you know, vegans, I've got vegan friends that are fabulous, you know, and
yes, absolutely,
they're okay with what I'm having. They're a bit, but I don't kind of talk that much about it with them, you know. So it is. But at the same time, I'm making new friends and new friendships with people who have gone through the same experience of, you know, who are vegan and now more meat based, and that's wonderful too, because there's always so much support there. I'm sure you found that too, which is fantastic.
Amazing. It's just really heartening to hear people's stories of how they're healing their bodies, all the changes and the ups and downs, you know, as well, the challenges that they're facing. Encourages me as a newbie carnivore to keep going and keep pushing through, keep ditching the things that I am knowing that are inflaming me and causing me an issue, and, you know, that kind of thing. Like chicken, I mean, Phil's always saying that chicken is not a food. You know, when you're really healing, you need to reset your body. You can't have chicken. And that's, my body is now like, she's an instant radar. She knows immediately, and she tells me quite violently sometimes, don't eat that. So
I think you know, everyone's on an individual journey. Some people can tolerate different things, and it also depends where you live in the world and what you have access to. You know, I mean, some people don't have access to you know, a lot of beef, or they may have, you know, they have to have chicken or whatever. But you do whatever works, and as long as you're willing to expand and not stay stuck in rigidity and dogma. And I think that's where you're open. Because, you know, if you go, I'm going to stick to this way of eating, again, it's going to put you into this box. But if you start to explore more, and the main thing, if you've got things to heal and they begin to heal and you want to bring some plants back in, and then you try it and see what works for you, because, you know, we are all individuals, even though biologically we do really well on meat, but as far as the quantity of vegetables goes, it's a lot to do with our own personal ancestry, I believe, and also
Yes.
yeah, and whatever we can tolerate. But we find that out as individuals as we go along, and that's
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd like to think that I can eat chicken and stuff again, and dairy as well, when I've got through that, you know, healing, because I do like it, you know. It's just that right now for me, I know what I'm not supposed to eat.
Yeah. Well, I wish
that
you all the best on your journey, and I know you're going to heal further, and it's just been so fantastic speaking with you, and thank you so much for sharing your time and your stories with us, and it's been very educational and helpful for a lot of us. So
thank you.
thanks again, and I wish you all the best with your project, and yeah. So
thank you so much, Katya.
You're welcome.
Really, really grateful
Thank you,
for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Okay, bye-bye now.